Welcome to English Practice Stories.
Hello, my dear friends. How are you? Pressing like and subscribe is a big help for me. Let's start the story. As I entered the church on that beautiful Sunday morning, I didn't expect that I would meet the man who would change my life forever. When I first saw him standing on the balcony of the rectory, I knew there was something special about him. He was wearing a crisp white shirt that complemented his dark hair and striking features perfectly. As the Mass began, I couldn't take my eyes off of him. I felt like I had known him forever, even though we had never spoken a word to each other before. Our parish priest called him up to speak to the churchgoers, and as soon as he started talking, I was mesmerized. His voice was so beautiful, and I knew at that moment that I was falling in love with him. After the Mass, our parish priest texted me and asked if I could join them for breakfast so he could introduce me to his visitors. I was a youth volunteer at the time. That's why I spent my weekends serving at the church. I told him I'd be back home quickly because Papa bought a liter of Carabao's milk, which was our favorite breakfast, paired with newly cooked rice. When I got back, I went straight to the rectory to see who these visitors were. My heart skipped a beat when I saw the guy from the balcony sitting at the dining table, looking at me with a smile on his face and saying, "Good morning. Kay na tayo, kanina ka pa hinahintayan Father. Good morning. Come here, let's eat. Father has been waiting for you." He offered me a seat beside him, and Father said, "Dayan ka na yumupo at magpakilala ka na." You sit beside him and introduce yourself. As we chatted over breakfast, I couldn't help but feel a strong connection with him. I knew I was falling for him, but there was a catch. He was a deacon assigned to our parish and was waiting for his ordination day to dedicate his life to God. I was heartbroken to find out that we could never be together, and I tried to brush off my feelings, thinking it was just an infatuation. I made an excuse to our parish priest, so I won't see Reverend every weekend, even if I wanted to. You see, I like him. I focused on my studies and tried to get him out of my mind. But it came to my attention that he'd be working as a director at the university where I am studying. I felt so happy when I heard the news. We started seeing each other more often. We would bump into each other in the hallways, and we would share small talk while drinking our favorite coconut juice. I always check on him before I go home after my class, and I sometimes stay a little longer just to be with him. I couldn't help but feel giddy every time I saw him. One day, he asked me out for coffee, and I said yes. We talked for hours, and I felt like I'd known him forever. He was charming, smart, and kind. As the days passed, my love for him grew deeper. Some of my closest friends noticed our closeness and that there's a spark in my eyes whenever we talk to each other. I couldn't believe that I found love in the most unexpected place. Our friendship blossomed into something more, and I couldn't help but feel conflicted. I knew that he had a higher calling and that he was meant to dedicate his life to God. But at the same time, I couldn't deny the feelings that were growing inside me. I was torn between my love for him and my respect for his vocation. And then one morning, I received a message from him asking me if I could help him get some of his things at the seminary. As we packed his belongings, I couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness, knowing that our time together was coming to an end. But I pushed those feelings aside and focused on helping him prepare for his sacerdotal ordination. Days before his ordination, I told him I would not be there on his ordination day because we had a family gathering that I would be attending, but it was all a lie. There was sadness in his eyes when I told him that, but he understood. I reminded him that I am his #1 supporter and that I am very happy that his most awaited ordination will happen very soon. On the day of his ordination, I went secretly to the church and I was watching him from afar. As I saw him donning his vestments, there was loneliness in my heart, but at the same time, I was happy for him, knowing that he was fulfilling his promise to dedicate his love and life to God. As he stood before the altar, I knew that he was meant for something greater, and I was grateful to have been a part of his journey. As he spoke his vows and received his ordination, I couldn't help but shed a tear. It was a bittersweet moment for me, but I knew that this was what he was meant to do. I love him, and so I am letting him do what makes him happy. I created a song for him. I created a photo album with all of our photos together, but I decided not to give it to him, as I don't want him to feel guilty that he did not choose me. We may not end up being together, but I don't have any regrets that I have loved someone as pure and genuine as you are. I have loved an honest, kind, and loving man, and that is you, Reverend Father. Give me your honest thoughts. I am eager to hear your perspective and learn from your input. So please do write your thoughts in the comment section.
If you like our story, subscribe English Practice Stories channel and click the bell icon.